Halloween is just around the corner, and have we got a treat for you?
Today we're going to be going over some of our favorite homebrew Halloween authors.
Welcome to the Homebrew Crew. I'm Tony, this is Sean, and today we're going to be going over our favorite Halloween-themed authors from DMSGUILD and all these different places.
Yeah, in the past we've done a couple races or classes or things like that, but there's so many awesome things out there that you can do for the Halloween season that we couldn't just pick one.
Now, remember a couple of years ago when we did all the monsters and nobody watched those videos?
Right, yeah, of course.
But this one I think you guys are going to enjoy very, very much. We're breaking this down to 3 different categories with it. Our favorite author for adventures, Halloween adventures, our favorite author for Halloween races that you can use, and some of our favorite Halloween items and monsters.
And the nice thing is there's going to be a little bit of everything for everybody. So this first one is going to be some awesome spooky adventures that you can run for your homebrew campaign.
Now, if you guys have not run these yet before, or if you've never heard of this, you must be living under a rock, because this is one of our favorite authors and our favorite things on this. And this is one of those adamantine bestsellers on the DMSGUILD, and it is the Haunt series.
Yeah, so this is from PB Publishing, and again, this kind of comes as a trilogy. You can probably play one of these as a one-shot, but you actually kind of want to play through the entire storyline, starting from part 1, as it kind of follows the same character, but in different locations and different themes. And there's a lot of really neat things that we can't spoil in this video, but there's a lot of really awesome things that you can kind of do in this adventure itself.
It is one of those things where the thematics of this adventure are so put into there. They even tell you to dim the lights and to have candlelight when you play. Let's take a quick peek at it. What do you think?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we probably should have warned people about the intro screen.
So we're looking at the Haunt 3 real quick. And there's a lot of stuff that's in this too. The artwork is absolutely amazing. It's one of these adventures. I ran the Haunt 1 2 Halloweens ago, and my players loved it. They thought it was one of the creepier things that we've ever run. And I kind of have a thing for the horror genre. I like spooking my players. This is one of those that definitely will do the trick. From adventure hooks to everything with it. Yeah,
and one thing that I always kind of note about when someone tries to make something spooky, sometimes they just try to add like a big old monster with a couple of features, where this is really great because the spookiness kind of comes in from the story and the background, which is very important when you're trying to create a horror or Halloween-themed adventure. It's not just about tossing in monsters or tossing in some traps.
Not to mention, though, the monsters in this are horrifying.
Yes.
Here, we'll do a quick scroll.
There are some scary ones in here.
Here we go.
Well, we've seen an adult art books before.
We have. Yeah. We have not one so gnarly before.
Right, true.
But we do have some interesting... This is like a formed gargoyle with it. These are freaking creepy.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going on. Well, of course, we can't forget the giant mimic.
Yeah.
Giant mimic.
Never trust a bookshelf by first glance.
Can you imagine the bookshelf falls down on you?
And then combat begins.
Shouting out, put the candle back. But... it is definitely something you guys got to check out. This is one of our favorite ones out there. And if you haven't played any of these series, you are totally missing out.
The author, PB Publishing, they actually have a lot of different other supplements related to horror. There's even some player options that they've released and things like that. So be sure to check them out when you get a chance.
Absolutely. Now, we promised you guys other things other than adventures. And we're going to get into some of those next too. Besides adventures, watch this smooth transition, Sean. Look at that. Wasn't that great? We've added things here. So if you're looking for some great homebrew races to put into Halloween stuff, nothing better out there than Walrock.
Yeah, we've actually reviewed some of their content before.
Last Halloween, in fact.
Yeah, I think we did like the Scarecrow race from last year.
But he has a lot of really great ones. He's also got a few different classes. There's a full witch subclass that he has that's really awesome. But the Awakened Undead, probably one of my favorite when it comes to Awakened Undead. I know a lot of people did that one.
Yes. Yep.
But he's got some great ones. The Batfolk are creepy. I mean, they're really creepy. I know we don't really care for the animal
plus humanoid, race, yeah, but it is really good.
But it is really cool. And then Swarm is kind of like the Star Spawn.
Yeah, very similar. Kind of this maggoty kind of collection of things that kind of make up that race. So again, very grotesque one, but if you're into that, that's great.
But the one we're going to look at today real quick is the cute and adorable Squashlings.
Oh, look at them.
Here we are. See, these are not as horrifying.
No, not really, but they do have a couple of tricks up their sleeve in case you want to be, a little bit more nasty or mischievous in your adventures, of course.
Again, the artwork is phenomenal in this. I mean, look at how cute. Look at how adorable and how amazing. But they are really, really great. It's we kind of take that scarecrow race that we were talking about before, and we shrink them down to about half. Nothing. I know it's frightening.
Yeah.
Halfling size. But why don't we get into a little bit of their traits?
Yeah, so as the Squashling, you're going to get a dex increase of 2 and an intelligence or charisma of 1. I'm assuming because, when we think of like a jack-o'-lantern or like some kind of like pumpkin like that.
Well, it is smiling all the time.
Exactly. So you got age and alignment there. You are going to be a small size, and your base walking speed is going to be 25 feet. You're going to be able to know Common and Sylvan. And then we finally get to some of the more interesting features. So botanical nature is kind of an interesting one. We've kind of seen this a little bit before in some other homebrew races.
We did a little bit of that with our Briarthorn.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's cool about this is that you are a plant as well as humanoid.
Yeah, and again, we've kind of seen this when we looked at like construct races, where you can now be affected by effects that do humanoids and that other secondary race, which can be good, but also bad for you depending on what's happening.
Withering, for example.
Yeah, not really the best for you.
But what I like about this race is that they are actually just a collection of vines and things, other than the pumpkin skull that's on them.
Right, exactly. You do get a dark vision of 60 feet, and then you actually get this really awesome, really cute illumination feature because, again, you got that glowing head on you.
Yes, absolutely. Creature of the Night gives you necrotic resistance, which is kind of neat, a little thing. But the cool things of this race come in with squashing magic and squash form.
Yeah, so kind of similar to like an elf, you do learn a couple of cantrips kind of free with this class. So you actually can get Produce Flame or Thorn Whip. At 3rd level, you can get Entangle, again, kind of going along with those vine things. And then at 5th level, you can learn the Knock spell.
Why not? Being able to open things is always nice,
yes,
right?
Of course.
And then, of course, squash form is kind of neat. You basically have to remain motionless for a minute there, right? And then you pull all of your vines into you, and you just take the appearance of a regular, mundane carved pumpkin.
It's great because, we kind of have seen certain races that can kind of do like the shape-shifting thing or whatnot. But this is very well themed. And it's a very useful feature, kind of disguising yourself as a mundane object. It's actually a lot more useful than you might think, even if you had to do it like in a combat situation or during a puzzle, a social interaction. It has a lot of uses. Right.
And with a Halloween themed adventure, I'm sure there's going to be some jack-o'-lanterns lying about.
Of course.
So, who's to say, right? But definitely check this one out and all of his stuff there. That's, again, Walrock Homebrew, not Warlock, Walrock Homebrew. And you can find those on the DM's Guild. We'll leave a link in the description below for all of these things that we're reviewing today. But, there's one last thing that we promised, and that was to go over some homebrew Halloween magic items, right?
Yes, and, it's kind of hard to find 1 or 2 or 3. Why don't we just kind of give you a bunch of them? So this next one is actually from a creator called Bonus Action, and we actually reviewed one of their items before, and I remember when we first found this person, we were thoroughly impressed by the content that they provide, and they actually do have an Instagram that you can go follow and a Patreon that you can go support to actually get more of that content.
And we're going to take a look at a couple of these here. There's magic items, and there's a few homebrew monsters for Halloween.
Yes.
So we're going to take a look at those. Here we are down the corner again. All right, so these are the items that he has listed right now on his Instagram. You can definitely, if you're a Patreon, you have other things that he is offering that you can see. And he is very prolific, even with not just the Halloween stuff, but with other holidays. He's got a whole thing of Rime of the Frost Maiden in there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I did notice that Bonus Action is very up to date when it comes to releasing very well-timed content. So when we're looking at this Halloween stuff, of course, part of Halloween is trick or treat, and I love that he actually made a trick dagger and a treat dagger, and they do very different things. So when we're looking at the trick dagger, rare dagger, kind of, 1d4 plus 2 piercing, range of 30-90,
right.
Has +2 to bonus attack rolls and damage. But the really cool thing is the reaction of deception. Now, this is the trick of the kind of the two pairs of daggers.
That's right. Now it's based on a wisdom saving throw, right?
Yeah, exactly. And basically all it really does is that you can actually swap places with another creature within 30 feet. So it's actually in reaction of an attack. So it's this defensive ability where you can kind of like avoid getting hit and kind of, replace it with another target if you need someone else to get hit there.
Now it works really well in tandem with its partner, Treat.
Yeah, of course. And of course, they are light weapons. You can dual wield these, so you can have Trick or Treat in your hands. Again, kind of that same attack bonus, but this one works a little differently. So whenever you actually crit on this, you regain an amount of hit points equal to half the damage you dealt, and it has an ability called Small Gift. So once per day, when another creature within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to actually reduce the damage by 2d4 plus 2. So again, Treat is kind of that more defensive buffing dagger, and then Trick is kind of the more like offensive, still kind of defensive, but like more so to kind of help avoid that damage.
And it would be great for a Squashling to have both of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of very, very good. And it's he's got so many different items here that we have, and I like some of these monsters. We're going to look at the Pumpkin Ooze because this is one of my favorite renditions of an ooze.
And if you've been following Homebrew Crew for a while, you know that we have this very odd thing with oozes, so it shouldn't be a surprise to you. Yeah, they're very cool creatures. Yeah. And then the pumpkin ooze is no exception.
Now, these are also known secretly as the pumpkin spice ooze.
Yes, of course.
Now, you have to watch out, though, because they're followed by a band of white girls.
Right,
That's
exactly.
how it goes.
You have to be careful.
Every Halloween. But the pumpkin ooze is your basic ooze, amorphous. Absorbing is interesting, though.
Yeah, so basically it's very specific. So it actually moves into the space of a pumpkin, and that pumpkin is absorbed into the ooze, and it actually gets temporary hit points if it's specifically absorbing a pumpkin.
Now there's more to that, though, because you also have Infecting Touch.
Yeah, so Infecting Touch is kind of spreading that pumpkin ooze to other pumpkins. So within 5 feet of itself, it can actually turn another pumpkin into a pumpkin ooze after 1d4 rounds. It has half the hit points, but essentially it's multiplying itself, kind of creating a swarm of pumpkin oozes if you're able to pull that off.
And I think this is a great one to throw into a Halloween adventure. Maybe the pumpkin patch is haunted or something
right, exactly.
like that. And it turns out to be this pumpkin ooze. It all stems from a pumpkin that's been left out way too long. You know right. How they get, you leave them on and they just kind of droop. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like a twisted take on the Charlie Brown story. So if
exactly,
you need that,
the great pumpkin ooze.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, if you guys want to check this guy out, you can find his bonus action. You can find him on Instagram, and we're going to leave a link to his Patreon below so you guys can follow him as well. And that's what we have. That's the end of our Halloween Spectacular.
Yes, so there are other ways to find other great homebrew things related to your Halloween adventure, and we'll definitely leave links down below if you want to get in on those adventures, the races, or the items that you may have seen in this video.
Now, something I did want to mention to our viewers, I'm not sure if you guys know how we fund and keep the channel going. It's actually from viewers like you.
Yes, believe it or not, it is not magic.
No, it's not magic. All it is when you guys download one of the things with our links below with that, we get a small amount of money that comes to us from the DMs Guild or whomever else that we recommend.
And not to mention, you're also directly helping the author as well to allow them to create more homebrew content. So if you do get a chance, please be sure to visit the links down below and consider picking up some of the products that you may have seen today.
Now, as far as holiday products go, there is something very exciting that the Homebrew Crew is doing. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yes. Speaking of holidays, we are looking into starting a new series where we'll actually be creating a brand new subclass, kind of interacting with some of the viewers as well. We are going to be starting this next week, I believe, on
next Friday is the first video, and we're going to be holding a contest with it because as we're releasing this, we realize that a lot of the artists out there don't get the recognition that they need.
Exactly.
So instead, we always review things on homebrew races, classes, things like that, and we go, wow, look at the art in that. But we never really feature an artist. So any artist who is willing to actually get involved with this, we're holding a contest for. We'll describe what we're doing. You guys draw it and send your stuff in, and we're going to pick one winner at the end of the month to actually be the artist for our new release.
Yes, precisely. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Again, we are going to be creating and going through the process of actually creating a whole new subclass, kind of going in tandem with the Homebrew Help series. So be sure to check that out. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You can hit that bell icon down below. It actually gives you a nice notification as soon as you get a new video up.
And remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. So until next time, keep brewing.